Well, there might be some changes on the way to the Wavering Mormon Recreation Complex in Quincy. The Quincy Park District is progressing with $1 million project to add a new playground, shelter, and restrooms next to the baseball field at the entrance. Park District officials are applying for a state grant they hope will cover nearly half of the funding, and they say the new playground will add to an already beloved and busy park.
We got 147 acres out there. We're hosting 15 to 16 baseball tournaments in all of our programs. Last year alone, we had 274,000 people spend at least 7 minutes in the Mormon Wavering Complex.
The grant application process will be done by the end of August, with awards announced early next year. And if the grant is approved, work on the new playground could begin as early as next fall.